You are listening to The World as I See It podcast. 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 As I See It podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The World as I See It podcast. I'm super excited that you are here with me today for this very special episode. Today, I am joined by a good friend of mine, Kaylee, who she's currently navigating a massive college campus, and we both share, the experience of living with visual impairments, but we do it in different ways, and we each have different perspectives. And I wanted to bring her on for that reason, to show, a different perspective on how she sees the world compared to how I see the world, and to show that it's not just one experience for everyone. So, Kaylee, thank you so much for joining me today to share your experiences.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to answer your questions and to share my story.
Oh, yeah, I'm really excited to get into this. So, first off, what is your eye condition and what can you see?
So, I was born with an eye condition called optic nerve hypoplasia, which means that my optic nerve didn't develop to the correct size. And so, basically, the way that I explain it is I see up to 7 feet in front of me, but like in very little detail. So, I can
Mm-hmm.
see that there's someone in front of me, but like, I'm not gonna be able to see their eye color or any small
Like their
details.
facial features.
Right, like, I'm gonna be able to see that they're wearing dark colors or light colors or if they have, like, dark or lighter colored hair, but I'm not necessarily gonna be able to tell you exactly what color it is in 100% surety, if that makes
Right.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think that that's so interesting because, a lot of people, the misconception is that, blindness is just total black when that's really not the case.
No, blindness is such a spectrum, and I think it's so important to remember that not everyone's experience is the same. And it's kind of like if you think about people with like ADHD. ADHD is such a
Right.
wide spectrum, but like ADHD doesn't like affect every single person the exact same way. Everyone's experience is
Exactly.
unique to them.
Yeah. So you used a white cane for years. And so, why did you decide to switch to a guide dog? Like, what made you want to switch? And, what was that whole process like from choosing a school to going through the training process?
Yeah, so I've been using a white cane since I was about 3 years old. I started learning in preschool and then I used it all the way through my senior year and my freshman year of college. And I still have my white cane. She's currently in retirement, but sometimes I pull her out of retirement for certain things. But I was very much like dead set that I was never going to use my cane. I absolutely hated it as a kid. It was just not really my thing. So I was kind of, I hate to say bribed, but I was like told that if I mastered the cane, then I would be able to get a guide dog. Like if I had the correct skill set and I used it correctly and I could do it independently and confidently on my own, then I would be able to get a guide dog. And so it came about my sophomore year of high school. I applied to Southeastern Guide Dogs, which is now Dogs Incorporated. Um, but they had a name change. So they're kind of known for both names. It's in Palmetto, Florida, which is like an hour-ish from Tampa. And there's an application online that you fill out and you provide doctor's records and eye reports and all kinds of different things. And then you do a home interview where you do one over the phone first, and then you answer questions about your lifestyle, about the type of area that you live in,
Hmm.
about different skills that you have, like whether you like escalators or you don't, um, things like that. And then I had a home visit, so someone from their team came out to my house, and we did a Juno walk, which is where you've got like a harness type thing, and you're holding it, and it's basically just like seeing how fast you walk, and it's good practice because walking with a harness is different than walking with a cane, you know?
Right.
Holding on to the harness with a leash is entirely different than sweeping your cane, in front of
Right.
you, and so, they make sure that you can do that and that you can follow the dog wherever it would take you. And they also check your walking speed. And then basically after that, you get like the official approval and you just wait for your match call. And that process is the wait list is usually like an average of a year. But if you get really lucky, sometimes it's within the next couple months. And sometimes,
Right.
you wait longer. And I had a really unique experience because I needed a dog that could work in rural areas, but also in a bigger city. Because when I'm
Mhm.
home, I live in a small town. When I'm at school, I live in a bigger city. And so I needed a dog that would be able to function correctly and like cooperatively in both. And so that definitely made my process longer because the school that I go to, only 31% of dogs that go in for guide dog training actually graduate.
Wow. I find that
Um,
statistic like super crazy.
yeah, so that's well under half of the dogs that go in for training.
Yeah,
And I mean, there's a
definitely.
lot that goes into being able to be a guide dog. There's a lot that we as humans are asking of them. Um,
Right.
and I mean, we're basically asking them to ignore every instinct to be a dog that they have. And
Right.
so it's a lot for them and they love to do it. They love to work. I pull my harness out and my dog is just like ready to go. He gets so excited.
Yeah.
But I mean, there will be times when we're working and you can just tell like he's totally checked out. He's like, okay, my brain hurts. I'm done. Because we're asking
Right.
so much of them.
So much. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I ended up getting the call in, I think, yeah, the very end of July, early August of 2025. And they basically called and were like, "Hey, we have a dog for you, and we really would love to see you at our August 31st class." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I literally had to email all of my professors and I had to call my advisor at school and I was like, "Hey, look, like I have to be here. Like this isn't a choice. I can't just decide that I don't want to go. Like I have to go. So we have to figure out what to do about my classes." And so I ended
Right.
up taking all of my classes online and I went to Florida for 3.5 weeks and I trained with my dog. We trained in all kinds of different environments. We learned how to work together. And he went through 5 months of training previously. So,
Right.
it was just all about learning how to work together and work as a team. And um, so, yeah. And we are getting ready to start our first semester of in person classes. And I'm really, really excited to see how
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how much, how much training did you have to do with the dog and does it require ongoing training now that you're at home?
Right. So we went through, I would say, about 3 weeks, maybe 3.5 weeks of training at the school in Florida. And then whenever we came home, um, he works, at least once a day, usually multiple. So it's really kind of like he can't lose the skills because he uses them every day. But there are certain skills like find the counter, find the wall. We don't use all the time. So it's always good to practice those just because, if you don't use it, you lose it. So
Right.
we do practice those pretty often just to make sure that he is keeping those skills. And if there are other skills that we haven't used in a while, I always go find a reason to use them just to make sure that he's in tip top shape.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned, some of the skills that he does, but like what all, is he able to help you with in your daily life?
So can he can he can walk across streets, he can find steps, um, he can sit, stay, he can lay down, um, he can kind of just do whatever I ask him to. He can do escalators, but I don't really do those, so we don't do
Right.
those.
So, after that initial training is over, how do you keep that bond strong?
Yeah, so it's really important that he doesn't bond to another individual. That, affects our training, and that also affects, like, our ability to work as a team. And it also, like, could very well put me in danger. Um,
Right.
and so I'm really particular about who I let him be and actually, like, interact with off harness. He absolutely loves my mom and he loves my best friend from home, but it's, one of those things, like, I'm the only one that feeds him, I'm the only one that takes him out to the bathroom unless it's, like,
Right.
absolutely necessary for someone else to. Um,
Right.
he doesn't he's not left with, anyone for long amounts of time without me. Um, and so it's just one of those things where, like, I don't I don't have a roommate at school because we don't want him to bond to someone else. And,
Right.
like, I applied to live in, like, the student apartments for next fall,
Yeah.
and, I'm gonna live with 2 other girls that I know, but I'm going to have my own room. And so, like,
Right.
that still gives us that space to, like, keep our
Mhm.
bond and to do that. So that's good.
So, is there anything else that you want to add about the guide dog training process, or, any thoughts that you want to leave with the audience to wrap up this first half?
Oh, I don't think so. I just think that it's really important to remember that, just because someone has a guide dog doesn't mean that every other visually impaired person you meet is going to have that same
Yep.
feeling. Some
Yep.
people are strictly cool with their white cane, and that's great. It's not for everyone. And just because I have a guide dog now doesn't mean that when he retires in 8, 9 years, that I'm going to be in a place in my life to go and get another one.
Right.
It really just depends on your lifestyle and, what you have going on. And I think it's really important to be aware of, if you can really provide a great environment, learning, growing, and, like, safe environment for a dog. And if you can't, then now's probably not your time. But just because now isn't your time doesn't mean that there isn't going to be one later down the road.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
So, Kaylee, thank you so much, for sharing your experience, with that whole process, and I think that it's this huge transition. And I think that a lot of people, they don't realize how much thought and how much work goes into that transition.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a lot. It's a lot to prepare for on your own, but I can't imagine as a dog that it's any easier, I mean, I
Yeah.
he, went from playing with his doggy friends every day and training and doing all of those things to now he currently has no doggy friends. And,
Yeah.
like, luckily I have a professor who's also blind, and he just actually got his first dog from the same place that I got mine from. And so we're gonna let them have, like, doggy play dates
Oh,
because it'll be
yeah.
100% safe. They have the same play style. And so,
Right.
I think it'll be
Right.
great, and I'm super excited to give him that opportunity to get his energy out in a way that
Yeah.
doesn't create bad habits in terms of, like,
Yeah.
playing. So,
Well, thank you for joining me for part one. And next week, Kelly and I are going to talk all about the college side of things. We will talk about everything from the dating and social life to the daily responsibilities of having a guide dog on a busy campus. You won't want to miss it. Stay curious and keep listening.
You've been listening to the World as I See It podcast.